Hey guys, it's Paul from Online Sax Academy. In today's lesson we've got an amazing rhythm workout. So the idea behind this workout is really simple, but to actually play it really accurately, that's where you're going to really see the biggest development in your sense of rhythm. Essentially what we're going to be doing is taking a nice steady beat of 70 BPM and dividing it by 1, then 2, then 3, all the way up to dividing it by 8. Now some of these divisions are really common, like if we divide the beat into 2, you get what are known as quavers in England or eighth notes in America. But as we go up into the higher numbers, like dividing the beat into 5 or 7, these more unusual divisions of quintuplets and septuplets, being able to perceive and play those not only helps you with that subdivision, but I find it also helps in more accurately distinguishing between the different subdivisions. Now for this workout we're going to be using just one minor pentatonic scale. For alto saxes we're going to be using the E minor pentatonic scale, and for tenor saxes that's the A minor pentatonic scale. To begin with, we're just going to start with one note per beat, and we're just going to go up and down the first two notes of the scale like this. Now we move on to our first and simplest subdivision. We're just going to do 2 notes per beat. And before you play any of these subdivisions on the saxophone, it can be really useful to practice these by clapping your hands and using some rhythmical words. I like to use the words borrowed from the Conical system, which is an Indian system for rhythm, and they really are the masters of rhythm. And for 2 notes in a beat, they use the word ta-ka. So you're literally just going to go ta-ka, ta-ka, ta-ka. And what you want to do is place the notes really evenly and make sure your ta is right at the same time as your clap. Ta-ka. Now this is pretty easy at first with these lower subdivisions, but as we get up into the higher subdivisions, you'll see practicing by clapping and speaking through them is a really great warm-up before you go to try and put it on the sax. So just as a quick demo, this is what the 2 notes per beat section would sound like. Okay, moving on to 3 notes per beat, I like to use the conical word of ta-ki-te, and you can go ta-ki-te, ta-ki-te, ta-ki-te. What you're looking to do is keep all of the syllables really even. Now of course if you prefer just to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, you can do that as well. What you'll find with these syllables though is they're easier to articulate, especially as we get up into the higher speeds. So we're now going to be going up and down the first 4 notes of that pentatonic scale, playing it with triplets. Okay, moving on to 4 notes per beat, I like to use the subdivision of ta-ka-di-mi. Again, this all comes from the conical system. And so we'll have ta-ka-di-mi, ta-ka-di-mi, ta-ka-di-mi. Again, keeping all the syllables really even and making sure the ta syllable is the one that connects right on the beat. And you'll notice how each time in this workout we're adding on 1 extra note in the scale and we're flowing up and down twice. And this part of the workout sounds like this. Now so far you've probably been pretty familiar with these subdivisions so far with our 8th notes, triplet 8th notes, and then our 16th notes. But now we're going to be dividing the beat into 5, and this is where articulating it first with the clapping and saying the syllables is really useful. Now as you get up into these higher subdivisions, there are different ways you can articulate them. The one I like to use is we take the word we were using for the triplets, ta-ki-te, and then the word we were using for just the 8th note, ta-ka. So we'll have something like ta-ki-te-taka, ta-ki-te-taka, ta-ki-te-taka. Now this subdivision is much more unusual, so take some time with the clapping and saying of the syllables before you go to play it on the sax. This is what it sounds like when we get to this part in the workout. Okay, so moving up again, in a way, when we divide the note into 6 notes per beat, it's actually kind of easier than 5 notes per beat. Because 6 notes per beat is just twice as fast as 3 notes per beat, you'll find it's much easier to feel. If you want to speak through it, you can just use that word ta-ki-te for 3, but say it twice as fast. Ta-ki-te, 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 ta-ki-te. You can also play around with the emphasis as well. So instead of saying ta-ki-te, ta-ki-te, you could take the word for 2 beats, ta-ka, and say that 3 times, like taka, 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 taka. And having 3 takas means you're going to have like 3 emphasis, 3 tars in it. You could even try taka-di-mi, taka, taka-di-mi, taka, a 4 and a 2. And of course you could swap those around. But I would start with just ta-ki-te, ta-ki-te first of all. And this is what that section of the workout will sound like. Now, stepping up to probably the hardest one is when we divide the beat into 7. Now for this one, I like to think of a 4 and then a 3. So takadimi for the 4, takite for the 3. Remember, we're saying all the syllables very evenly, so no syllable is longer than the other. So takadimi takite, takadimi takite, takadimi takite. And that sounds like this. And finally, the last subdivision is dividing things into 8. Again, you'll probably find this easier in a way to perceive because it's just double the speed of 4 or quadruple the speed of 2. So I like to think takadimi, 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 takadimi. So 2 takadimis. Now at this point in the workout, it then starts to reverse. So we go back to 7, then 6 and 5, all the way back down to just 1 note per beat. You'll notice you'll have a measure of rest between each of the subdivisions. What you should do during that time is start to think about the upcoming subdivision and even start to say that word, the word for takite, for example, when you're going to 3, before it arrives. And then when that next measure starts, you're ready to play with that new subdivision. Now, of course, as we get up into the higher subdivisions, your fingers have got to move pretty fast as well. So you can always use YouTube's playback speed settings to slow this down. And of course, premium members can download the backing track and performance track and load this up into any apps that slow music down too. You can also get the free PDF of this workout, and that's available at onlinesaxacademy.com, and the link to that is down below. Alright, so here's this rhythm workout. Now, if you're interested in developing your sense of rhythm even more, then at onlinesaxacademy.com on the courses page, I'm building out a Mastering Rhythm course. Now, this steps you through right from the very beginning. Some of the concepts covered today are actually quite advanced, like the quintuplets and septuplets. With the Mastering Rhythm course, we're going to be going right from the very beginning. And if you become a premium member at onlinesaxacademy.com, you'll have access to not only that course, but all the other courses on the courses page. And you'll also have access to all the premium content in the YouTube library. And for today's lesson, premium members have access to the PDFs and the backing tracks and performance tracks. All right, let me know in the comments down below how you got on with this one. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.